BenQ Board for a little while, maybe you've already been familiar with some of the basic features and functions. You're ready for some of those hidden tools and tips and tricks, and some of the resources you may not realize you had access to. In the app icon at the bottom of your screen, you'll have the apps that you're typically used to seeing on your board. This is going to include all of the apps that you've downloaded to your board, but we have an app called the BenQ App Store. This is where you can actually see additional applications that you can download to your panel. Here we have some preloaded grade level content. The grade level content does not require any type of a sign-in or any sort of a resource to log in. It's just interactive content. Students can walk up to the board, select their grade level, and it's going to ask them for a subject area or maybe a specific skill that you want your students to review. And it is interactive activities that not only ask them questions and challenge their knowledge, but they also get to have a fun time doing it. You'll also see that we have some apps on here for some of the partnerships that we have. Things like CuriPod and Magic School. You can download those resources from our BenQ store and use your own login to log into those apps and access all of those resources that you've built in those platforms. The BenQ store is also where you can manage any updates that you may have for your apps on the board. By tapping My Apps on the bottom left, you can see all of the apps that you've downloaded to your board from the BenQ store. If any of those apps need an update, you can tap Update All, and it will update all of the apps that are waiting on an update. You can also toggle on the option to auto-update your apps, which will automatically search for those updates when needed, and it will update the board. These auto-updates will not interrupt your instruction. One of our most used features on the board is our digital whiteboard called EZWrite 6. You probably have already figured out how to navigate the main menu on the bottom. You have your select tool, your pen tool. You also have additional resources such as your teacher toolbox with your timer, stopwatch, and spinner. But you can also import your media. If you haven't already, you definitely want to go in and link your cloud drive to your BenQ AMS account. Be sure to watch the first video to walk you through those steps of logging in and linking your cloud drive. When your cloud drive is linked, it allows you to import media directly from the board or from your cloud drive. I currently have both my Google Drive and my OneDrive connected. If I have resources in my Google Drive, I can tap Google Drive, My Drive. I can now go and find those resources that I want to bring into the board. So if I want to bring in my image of the mountains, I can tap on my image and tap Import. Now that image is going to pop up directly in my EZWrite. Now I can resize my image. I've got my same menu that pops up whether you're using a shape, an image, or even a text box. But having that cloud drive linked makes it so easy to go in and grab those resources. Another media type you can import is your documents. Maybe you have a lesson plan or you have a worksheet that your students are following along with. You can navigate through your cloud drive and import those resources. I'm now searching for a document. This document is 9 pages. I don't need all 9 pages to be imported. I can actually unselect that and I can select just the pages I need. So if I need 2 pages, I can tap OK. And it's now going to add 2 pages to my workbook. So you can see here by tapping the page number, I can now see all of my slides that I previously worked on, but then I can now see that it imported 2 of my sheets. I can zoom out, I can move this around, I can zoom in. When this resource imports directly to the board, it's ready for me to write on that resource. So now I can annotate directly on this tool, and even if I move this around, those annotations are going to stay right there. So when I want to model this with my students, I still have all of this working space over here, and I can annotate directly on the resource. I can also import other media types such as videos, audio files. I can even bring in a YouTube video. When I bring in a YouTube video using this icon in EZWrite, it will actually take out the ads and it will not play the suggested video at the end. One thing to note though is when you import a video via YouTube here, it will play full screen, so you won't be able to utilize another area of the whiteboard at the same time. You can also import from other EZWrite files. If you didn't already know, you can save your EZWrite lessons as an EZWrite file type directly into your cloud drive. Now I can open that file from any panel, or I can come in and import from that lesson because maybe I want to pick up where I left off yesterday, or one of my colleagues shared a lesson with me and we have it in our shared EZWrite lesson folder. Now I can go grab that lesson, and maybe I don't need all 4 slides. I just need one of these. I can import one slide from a previous EZWrite lesson, and it's now going to put it directly into my lesson. Again, it just added a page where I was, so now I have an additional page with another resource. We also have some preloaded content as well. So we have the templates. This is a template gallery that has lots of different resources here. So if you want to bring in your story map, you can tap the story map, and this is ready for you to write your notes directly on. So I can now annotate, I can brainstorm, I can have my students come up to the board and they can brainstorm directly on here. I can also import backgrounds as well. So here you'll see that we have some preloaded backgrounds. So if I wanted to utilize my multiplication chart or my periodic table, I can select one of those backgrounds, but I can also import my own backgrounds as well. So if I tap this plus icon, again, it's going to take me to this screen where I can go to my cloud drive. And now I can grab one of my backgrounds that I have saved, and it's going to add to the list. Now, every time I log into my panel and I navigate to my whiteboard, all of those backgrounds will be there. I don't have to import them every day. So now I can tap on my background, and again, it's ready for me to annotate directly on. So when I'm ready to make a note here, I've got all of my resources ready to go. When I tap the plus icon to give me a new page, it is going to keep the same background. It assumes that you want the same background again because maybe you're going to model a different type or you want to provide a different annotation. If you don't want the same background again, just tap the backgrounds icon and tap the very first color, and it will take you back to our default EZWrite background. We also have a few other galleries of preloaded content as well. One of those is our 2D image library. This has a lot of different icons and resources ready for you to bring in. So something, for example, like telling time. We've got some clocks here that you can bring in. I can now lock it. I can duplicate it. Maybe I want to have 2 clocks, or I want to have multiple students come to the board. I can also utilize the infinite clone feature as well. But when I lock this, I'm ready to write directly on here. So now I can have students come up and navigate the resource that I just imported. So we have lots of different icons and tools in the 2D image gallery. We also have a shape gallery. This has all your basic shapes as well as a few 3D shapes. You also have a 3D image gallery. This 3D image gallery does allow you to pull in a 3D image, and you can turn the image completely around and look at it from all sides. One last thing is our reveal tool. So sometimes you want to have something shown on the board, but maybe you don't want the students to see it just yet, or you've got the answer key and you want to hide it. You can tap the reveal tool and it will quickly cover. So maybe you don't want to see the answer, you want students to come up and tell the time, and then when you're ready, you can move that out and you can reveal the time. You may already know that in your toolbox, you have access to your Chrome browser as well as your Google Drive. When I tap on the Chrome icon, it will auto split the screen for me. One thing that's great about this split screen is how easy it is to grab content from your browser and bring it directly into EZWrite. For example, if I am teaching a lesson about frogs, I can come over here and find an image of a frog that I love, that I want to use in my lesson, and I can just long press, click, and drag, and now that image of the frog is directly in my EZWrite lesson. On this image, there's a little purple circle that says AI. When I tap on that AI icon, it gives me a couple options. One, I can change the artistic style of the image. If I want it to look more like a painting instead of a real image, you can do that. But the other is the background remover. So if I want to remove the background, I can tap Insert, and now you'll see this is the same picture of the frog, just with no background. I can also do the same thing with text. Maybe I want to bring in the overview of a frog to put right next to my text, my image. I can click and drag, and now I've got that text directly on my whiteboard. I can tap the translate icon, and it will translate that text into my selected language. Another option with dragging content is if you have a picture that has some content or text on it, such as this image has some words on here. The menu at the top, one of the options has the T on it. When you do that, this is our optical character recognition tool. It will pull the text directly off the image. So now it pulled all of the words that were on the image, pulled it off into a text box. I can now tap the T and I can go in and edit that text, or I can simply translate it. And now I've got multiple versions of the same text. One of the other apps that you're probably already familiar with is our casting app called InstaShare 2. The InstaShare 2 app allows you to wirelessly cast from any device to the board. You do have some options to natively cast without using the app, but utilizing the app gives you the most functionality of both your device and the board simultaneously. One thing, if you've used this app, you know that it's fairly simple to connect your device to the board. You just open InstaShare 2 on the board, open InstaShare 2 on your device, and either type in the pairing code or select the board name. But one thing you may not know is that you can actually have multiple devices casting at the same time. Whenever you have an active InstaShare 2 session, you have a little toolbox right here. This is your host control. There's a little tiny icon of InstaShare 2, and this is all of your host controls. This allows you to control everything that's being sent to the panel. At no time during this session can you have something on the board or somebody connected to the board and you're not aware of it. So right here, you can tell that I have two devices that are connected to the board at the same time. But at the moment, I have them hidden because you'll see here there's a little eyeball. When I turn the eyeball on, it brings my device right back. So my devices have actually been connected this whole time, but I just had them hidden because I didn't need them until now. I also have another device. So now I have two devices connected. They're both sharing simultaneously, and it auto split my screen in half to show both devices at the same time. This will actually display up to 9 devices at one time. So think about those days where students have presentations, or you're creating resources, or students are creating artifacts and you want to share them all and grab that class feedback. You can have all of those showing at the same time. But it's very quick and easy to go in and say, oh, I don't want to look at Lauren's device right now. I'm just going to tap on that eyeball and it's going to make it go away. You can also easily tap the home button on the front of the panel and it just temporarily disables your device in InstaShare 2. So I can still utilize things like my Chrome browser. I can still go back and use my Whiteboard. Again, my devices are still connected. I'm just not in InstaShare as an active source right now. To get back, I just tap InstaShare and you'll now see my computer screen. Again, I have full touchback. So this is one of my computer screens. I can come up here. I can minimize all of these resources. I can come back over here and I can switch my device and I still have full control over everything on my computer screen. So even when I have my devices connected to the board via InstaShare 2, I don't have to be standing at my device. I don't have to be sending content from my computer to the board and navigating which window is being shown, because I can just open my resources and go between all of my things on my computer directly from the board itself. Also, in your host controls, you have the option to utilize the floating window tool. This allows you to resize the window. So I have the icons on the bottom corner that allows me to resize. But if I want to have my EZWrite open and the resource on my computer open, I can utilize the floating window so that I can multitask and have both my computer and utilizing the Android side of the board as well. I still have full touchback even when accessing my InstaShare 2 through the floating window. If you have any questions about the things that you saw in this recording today, be sure to jot them down now and bring them to our live Q&A session on September 9th. We'll see you soon.